Hello, David. Good evening.
How's it going?
I'm brilliant. I'm not bad at all. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen out there. So nice to see so many people joining us from all over the world. In fact, there's hundreds of people joining us. It's fantastic. I love that there. Becky Ellis is in Bear River, Nova Scotia. That just sounds so exotic, doesn't it?
It's cold. So? It says cold.
What is cold? Bear River. Bet it's not cold if you're running, for one.
Running from a Bear River.
Right, if there's one in your tail, I bet it's you're in there. Listen, so nice to see you folks. Keep the comments coming in. We love seeing where you are all over the world. What's been on this week, David? Anything exciting? Last week takes a bit of beating. You became a dad last week, so that's going to take a wee bit of beating. Oh, there's somebody in Portugal. I love Portugal.
No, not a lot this week. Been in the hospital most of the week, most days. Actually, every day. But everything's going in the right direction, so that's good.
Amy Isabel's doing fine.
She's doing fine. Yep, she's all doing well.
All doing fine. And there's quite a lot of folk in Argentina watching tonight. This is fantastic. Great stuff. There's Bonnie. Bonnie's a regular. And
busy.
So,
busy.
Yeah, so it's been pretty busy. Up here, just supposedly getting back to normal. Schools have got quite a lot of cases, some dodging back and forward. The chinchilla just knocked something off its cage. That's what that bang was.
You insulted the chinchilla.
Yeah, my chinchilla's not happy. There we go. There's hundreds. Here's a wee set of tunes for me.
Yep.
Got a new accordion to try out yesterday, an Alexandrina solid cherrywood. Absolutely beauty. And it's courtesy of the Squeeze Box shop again. We got Tom's email there, I think, with his website. If you fancy a box, get in touch with Tom. He's up in Bewley at Inverness. He's got some amazing accordions. And I just wanted to try this one out to get a wee shot. So here is the music of the Spey. and Callum's Road by Donald Shaw, since it's Celtic Connections. So enjoy these. Cool stuff. And you had the whistle out playing along there. I never thought we could have sent it to you and you could have put whistle on.
What key was that first tune in?
A.
Was it though?
Aye, no, it was. Okay. If you're going to accuse me of playing an A flat and things, that's not true.
Why not? No, it was great.
Because try to avoid them, that's why. Yeah, anyway, that was a couple of nice wee tunes.
We have.
Well, hundreds of comments coming on.
I know. You can't keep up. Great fun.
I can't keep up.
It's great. We've got a couple of great guests tonight. We're actually getting some live music tonight as well. Some live music.
Yeah, it's all going to go. That's it. On the spot stuff, that, isn't it? Saying that, Joy's maybe going to... Joy later on's maybe going to do a Gaelic one live. And she could sing anything she wanted, for all I knew, because I don't know.
I'm not
we're hoping to pick up some Gaelic tips tonight, actually. This is what we're on. This is
the best we can do is this. There you go. You stop clicking. Stop clicking.
Oh, sorry.
That's the best we can do. That's it. That's all we've got.
Oh, there we go. That's a start. It's amazing what you can do in Google Translate or whatever it is, isn't it? Aye, we've got two great guests. We'll have two great guests.
Wonder if Simon's there. Simon around? He's got his camera. We'll do a bit of a chat before Simon comes on. Oh, here he is. He's there. He's alive. Do you want to just go for it?
Yes. Let's get on with the show.
We have
Oh, people out there, just before we do, please remember to share the show if you can.
Yes.
It's wonderful that you're all joining, but keep sharing. That's wonderful.
Both of our guests are very big on Twitter if you want to follow them. If you want to know about rolls, morning rolls, then you can speak to Joy. And if you want to know about pipes, it's Simon's. Yeah, but yeah. So we have Dr. Simon McKerrel, who is a professor at Newcastle University in the trad course, the folk course, who plays pipes, whistles, Ulan pipes, Irish pipes, border pipes. He was in the Spirit of Scotland pipe band, grade 1, under Rodney McLeod, and he's been in one of my favourite bands, folk bands, Back of the Moon. Like he's the best.
Joy's sending messages to us. We can see her.
So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome tonight, Dr. Simon McKerrel.
Excellent. Hello, Simon.
Welcome, Simon. How are we doing?
Hi, good to see you. Great to be here. Thanks so much.
No, thank you.
That sounds so posh, doesn't it? Dr. Simon McKerrel Piper. It just sounds great.
That's posh, Peter. You know, it's really posh.
That's great. I love it.
You don't tend to use it. I'm not a medical doctor, so nobody really uses it at all ever. So you don't use it.
I think we had Gary West on one night as well, and I think Gary said the same. He said if he ever took ill, he was of no use to us whatsoever.
Exactly the same here, yeah. Never. Can't help you, yeah.
That's when you hear it over the tannoy. Is there a doctor in the house? I've got a PhD. Does that count? So, Simon,
only if your D's flat.
So, Simon, let's get to the point. How did you start off in music?
How did I start off? I came from what I would describe as quite musical family. My dad played classical piano, quite high standard, and my mum sang. I think really it was my brothers. Really, they both played in the pipe band at school, and they were both drummers in the band at school, and so I kind of just wanted to be part of that. I think I was young, 10, and just took up the chanter, you know. I'd already been playing, I think, different instruments, clarinet and piano and things, but the chanter really stuck dead quickly. I was at the College of Piping back in Otago Street, and I went in and I remember lessons in there with pipe major Angus MacDonald, Jeannie Campbell, and various other folk there back quite a long time ago now, and that's how I began. And then it just sort of, you know, as you know yourself, Davey, it just sort of takes over your life, you know.
Yeah. So
I was going to ask. So did you ever at any point stay down in Newcastle then, or did you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, back in 2010, I got dropped down to Newcastle, having worked at Sheffield Uni before that, and the RCMD before that, and Glasgow Uni as well. And when I got the job at Newcastle, we moved down to Newcastle. My daughter, my first child, was born down there, so she can get a Geordie passport if she wants.
Okay.
And then we moved back eventually to Glasgow, and you know, my son was born up here. But yeah, so no, we lived there for a few years. It was great, really, like on Tyneside, you know. Yeah, Tyneside, which got actually quite an interesting history of piping as well, because there was various makers of Northumbrian pipes who lived in Tyneside, you know. Yeah, and also what's his name? Composed James Thingamabob.
Hill.
James Hill as well. He was in North Shields too. So there's a load of interesting history just on that north side of the town, you know. And there still is, obviously. Loads of good pipers down there. Catherine Tickell works with me at Newcastle. Obviously, Katrina McDonald's there, great fiddle player from up your way, Peter. Nancy Kerr, really wonderful singer. And like a whole load of other people, actually. Imogen Gunner, Matthew Ward, guitarist. So there's a whole really good team actually there. And the students are just really busy. This is our 20th year for the folk music degree down there. So we'll be celebrating that, hopefully in some style this year, Yeah.
Fantastic.
So, am I right in saying that there's a piping museum down your way, that way as well at Newcastle, isn't there? Is that, where's that again? It's at
Morpeth.
Yes, in Morpeth, yeah. I've never actually managed to get yet, but it was a big party society piping down there. Like all the lairds, local lairds had their own piper, like a Northumbrian piper and all that as well, didn't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's echoes of all that stuff still ricocheting through the Northumbrian piping today, and like it does with Highland piping, with Scottish piping as well. So no, it's I mean, the one trick I suppose down there for there's also a lot of Highland piping, to be fair, down there. So Bill Wotherspoon, who's a great piper, gold medalist, he lives near Morpeth too, and he kind of is instrumental in running the Newcastle Piping Society. So I sometimes go to that as well. It's a really nice bunch of folk, all from around Middlesbrough, Sunderland, Newcastle, up in Northumberland as well. There's loads of number of good bands as well. A couple of good service bands as well as civilian bands as well. Yeah. So there's quite a lot of piping actually going on. It's quite a quiet scene, but if you're involved in it, there's some really great people down there.
Yeah. So with the piping sound, did you start learning a band, or was it was it a solo tradition sort of thing you started off with?
Well, for me, I mean, when I was a young boy, I really started off just wanting to play in the band at school, right? Like a lot of guys, at 10, 11 years old, and that was really all I was thinking about at the time. And I was lucky. I mean, I was very lucky, obviously, with tuition, and I was in the band. Kenny MacDonald from Tyree was the teacher of the school band. Late Kenny MacDonald, and then also the late pipe major Angus MacDonald taught me, for individual lessons at the College of Piping. So that was a pretty good ground, in that band. And then latterly, I was taught as a teenager by Jimmy Pride and Colin Pride at school, so there's a lot of kind of. They were really important teachers to me, and then after that, I've had various teachers again. When I moved back to Glasgow, I was heavily influenced and went for a lot of years to Murray Henderson for tuition. So I was very influenced by Murray's playing, and a number of other people as well. But I've been really lucky with teachers, great teachers, and I suppose I'm kind of getting to that stage in life where you kind of start to realise it a bit more,
I know exactly what you mean.
I'm really worried actually at the moment. One of the things I'm worried about is young kids who aren't able to take up the pipes at the moment. Yeah. And that's something I've written about recently, but it really worries me in the pandemic. I've talked to a couple of music teachers about this, and I think we could be missing 4 or 5 years worth of players. You can't get into the schools to do a demo. It's really there's not just obviously the pipes, but that's my main concern. But it really is an odd one. I think there's all those kids, those great players. Like the kind of there could be so many good players. And of course piping mainly is taught for free still. It's one of the only instruments that's still taught for free. So it really, I think there's a big issue there, and I'm hoping that those people who are really involved in it can get more demos get past the worst of these restrictions, you know.
Yeah, no,
The instrumental instruction in Scotland has become free again now in the
Right.
last year,
Yeah,
which is
that was a great campaign, and I'm so
yeah,
glad.
which is good. Yeah, but I agree with you to an extent that it's very difficult. I teach accordion full time in the schools in Shetland, and yeah, recruiting over the past couple of years had become difficult. But one thing I've done is, and it's worked really well in the last month, 6 weeks, is we put together a video encouraging the kids to take it up as well. And the classroom teachers have been playing it on the big whiteboard and all that, and just made it an entertaining video. And I've gained about another 15, 16 pupils in the last week or two because of that. So it's good.
the one good thing is, and you probably agree with me, that if someone starts piping at a young age, they won't have enough time to do anything else. So that gets them off the streets, it gets them off the drugs, gets them off the computer games. It's brilliant.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know,
Davey, you should be a politician, Davey. You should be a politician. That was amazing.
No, thank you.
but it was really, well, I think it's probably the same for a lot of us. You know, it was pretty all-consuming as a teenager for me.
Yeah.
I remember
Yeah.
a lot of those times standing in the bedroom. A lot of pipers will know this, you know, with the headphones on, try to play along to Roddy McLeod or to Willie Morrison or somebody like that, you know, try to play along and capture everything they're doing and just try to learn, you know, just copying exactly what they're doing. Love that, you know. So those players, you know, the likes of Roddy and Willie Morrison and Fred Morrison and Willie McCallum, Angus McCall. A lot of these players have been hugely inspirational as well. Murray Henson as well, particularly for Peterborough. But so many of my peers as well, you know. So yeah, no, I've spent a long time, you know, listening to people.
Yeah. How about how we tuned from you then, Simon?
Yes, absolutely right. So I've got these wee.
There's Imogen from Johannesburg saying hello to you both. She knows
Hi,
both
Imogen.
guests tonight and looking forward to it. So it's great.
That's one of my work colleagues there. She's a fantastic
Oh,
teacher.
brilliant.
Yeah, so hello, Imogen. Yeah, so well, I'll play a couple of tunes. I was playing this morning with Ali Hutton on the guitar, who's also a great piper. I'm rehearsing for a concert on the 8th of February, which is like now turned into an online concert at Newcastle Uni. So I'll play a wee set that we were just running through this morning. Will give me another chance to practice. It will be just a couple of 2/4s.
So way to do it.
Couple of favourites of mine over the years: Nicewwood Cayley, John McDonald of Glencoe. So yeah, I hope these don't.
Knightswood Cayley's a fantastic tune. Just it's got a different twist to it altogether. Just a fantastic tune.
It's always been a favourite of mine, Peter,
Yeah.
and I want to
Absolutely. Great tune.
Here we go.
Brilliant. Fantastic. Great playing.
That's brilliant.
What kind of pipes is that, Simon? What other pipes are these that you're playing?
They're just, Peter, they're just like, they're really interesting in a way. They're not meant to be played in the shoulder. These ones were a really old set of Robertsons from the 1950s. Right. And they're actually, if you notice, if you look at them, they don't have projecting mounts. They don't stick out here.
Yeah.
That's when they were donated to the university back from Cambridge, and when they came, they were just all in one stock, like a set of blowing pipes. And I was fiddling around with them one day, and I took them out. I thought, I wonder if they'd work on the shoulder. And so they're much better on the shoulder, actually. You know, the blowing into them rather than with the bellows. So I just sort of adapted them, and I've made them play an A. You know, so they're much nicer for playing an A.
Yeah. I thought that I was sitting listening, and I thought you could join in with the box there quite easily.
Hi, they're in concert pitch, you know, so.
That's brilliant.
I know they're great fun for playing with other folk, you know, and it saves you all the carry on with the whole, you know, B flat and everything, you know, and they're a bit quiet too, you know.
Yes, exactly,
yeah, nice.
Exactly. So. When you're playing in the school pipe band, what came next? Did you join? Was it a local pipe band you joined after that?
Yeah, for years actually. I played in a really wonderful group of folk at Hendrick Pipe Band and then Mogai Pipe Band. So we lived in kind of Carbeth way, Blainfield way, growing up, and so the local band for me was Blainfield, Strathblane, you know. So I went down there and I learned an awful lot actually for free, you know, like all of us who play. And one thing, like I really, you know, I remember like all the different generations of players there. That was lovely in the band. And then Mogai Pipe Band, Tam Campbell, who I think now is in Australia, got me as a really young guy into the Mogai Pipe Band. And then I went off. Eventually, I went off to the RSAMD and did one of the first degrees in Scottish music there. And it just sort of snowballed from there. The piping, you know.
I'm going to go back about maybe 30 odd years now, and I remember I played pipes with Colburn Pipe Band. And down the Lanarkshire there, and Mogai at the time, we were both in the same grade, and I remember Peebles at the end of the year, the very last contest, we had both used Highland Wedding as our tune, so here was this 2 grade 3 bands able to march down the street playing Highland, and we got together, the 2 bands, and played together down the street. I'll never forget that, but that was Mogai Pipe. That's my connection to Mogai Pipe Band, so there we go.
Yeah, you would have maybe played with old Hector in the band in Mogai,
right.
Cruikshank, who was
could have been, yeah.
Member. They got a wonderful setup there, you know, because they still have they bought the hall for the band for a penny from the local council in 1908, you know. So and they always owned that actual. It's an old cottage, set of cottages, really, a wee terrace, and they converted it into 2 halls, and the drummers practice at one end, the pipers practice at the other. It's called the Corby Hall. And it's a lovely, I mean, it's a great thing for a band to actually own the premises that they rehearse in.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's funny, Colburn do as well. They own their one for way back.
Yeah. Colburn IOR, you know, and there's a lot of good pipers come through there as well. So I really believe, I think as time's gone on, I've started to realise the value of those things more and more, Peter. To be honest.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. The one of the questions came from one of the audience, Katie. She's asking what your favourite pipe tunes are.
Oh, that's not a very fair question, is it?
Hey, it's not my question.
Oh, my question.
I mean,
I'm going to get a laugh when he says Highland Cathedral. That's going to be hilarious.
Silver threads. No, well, I've always liked. I mean, there's so many good tunes, isn't there? I've always loved, actually, to be thinking about it. I've really loved the tunes of Peter McLeod Jr., Peter McLeod Sr., Willie
Yeah.
Laurie. I really like those comps. GS tunes, GS McLennan tunes. I've found gravitated back to them many times. Obviously, a lot of Donald McLeod tunes as well in my repertoire, and some of the more modern, composers as well. I mean, there's great tunes by people like Chris Armstrong, Michael Gray. Uh, Dr. Angus MacDonald has a lovely tune, Tubular Pete, Monyon and Grocken. There's tunes like that stand out. There's so many of them. I could play some just now. I was thinking about
Yeah.
jigs. I've got some favourites in the jigs. I was talking to Ali Hutton about this morning. What are the tunes that?
There he is. He's watching.
Aye. There he is. We were talking about this, Ali, and how not just in terms of the key signature, how do you put them together, but how do they flow into each other?
Absolutely, yeah.
How do they flow into each other? And so I've always been a player who's quite heavy in terms of ornamentation, and well, I'm also quite heavy physically, but I've always enjoyed those tunes. Those kind of tunes like Brazen Melanish and tunes that have got quite a lot of work in them, for particularly bottom hand work, and I've always gravitated to those kind of tunes as well. And I think with things like jigs, because there's quite a lot of space in them, you can really play around with the rhythm. So that's what I've always tried to really get the beat nice and just play around with the rhythm.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with two tunes on the same key if they really complement each other. As you say, let them go with each other. Obviously key changes makes for interest, etc. But sometimes why not?
I've got a couple of tunes I'll play then. Some of the jigs that we were practicing with Ali. The Duncan the Gauger has always been a favourite of mine. It's just a really nice tune. It's quite an unusual rhythmically. Brazen Melanish, the one that I played since I was really 11 or 12 years old. And it's just really good on the pipes. I always think it's a real pipe tune, if you know what I mean. And I'll play another old favourite, Jimmy McGregor, pipe major Jimmy McGregor. Yeah, those. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic
Bro
again.
stuff, bro. Just magic. Lovely fingering there. Fantastic.
So a lot of folk will know you from your previous band of Back of the Moon. You're in the semi-original lineup of Back of the Moon, weren't you?
Yeah, the first. Yeah, I mean, it was about what it was. Gillian Frame, the fiddler, had. That was basically launched on the back of her winning the Young Traditional Musician of the Year back in, I think it was 2001 or 2000. It must have been 2000, I think. Yeah, so you know, I was going along with that because I was friends with Gillian and Finlay Napier, and then we added in Finlay's brother time at Glasgow Uni, and he's a great keyboard player. And he plays accordion as well, actually, and flute, obviously, and whistle. So, yeah, it was great for a few years, and then I went off down a kind of academic route, and then I had to leave. And funnily enough, it was Ali who replaced me as well. He's featuring quite prominently in it, but he came in after me to it, and then it just went downhill from there, really, you know.
Oh, brilliant. So the Back of the Moon's always been kind of a touring band. Did you? Is there anything that you did as a touring gigs that kind of stick?
Well, yeah, there's one or two. You know, I remember playing the gold mine in Vancouver. Well, no, actually, it was up in the mountains near Mission. You know, up in the mountains, you know, with an outside toilet. I remember arriving in the middle of the forest. I forget the name of the guy. It was like there was up in the mountains in British Columbia. They still actually mine for gold, you know, and pan for it and stuff and all that kind of thing. So I remember going up there and arriving, and in the middle of the forest, and there was a guy having a fag on a generator just sitting there. And then to get out the van, right, that's you here, you know, this is it, this is the gig, you know. There was no stage, I couldn't see anywhere there was nothing big, a tree and a generator. And but within, say, about 4 or 5 hours of that, there was a stage, there was an audience, and it ended up being a really great night. You know, that was up towards midnight, you know.
Yeah.
That one stood out. Playing over there, we played every year out in British Columbia and Alberta and places, and down into Washington State, Vancouver Island as well, for a number of years. They were great trips, and and it was really kind of just a brilliant time. I was in my early 20s as well, so it was a really interesting time, you know. So yeah, I loved that. I mean, there's loads of other things I can think of, you know, but those trips particularly stand out. But we also played in Switzerland and Germany. We did that circuit a few years as well, and we played in every folk club in Scotland at least twice, you know.
Yeah, what influenced you to go down the academic route as such then with the music then? What was?
Yeah, well, for me, Peter, you know, there's a really different kind of buzz that you get. I suppose the easiest way to describe it is, you know, you get that buzz when you're playing with other people, playing music with other people, and there's similar but different kind of buzz for me working on ideas, you know. And at the time, I just sort of recognised in my own personality that I was particularly interested. I've never been somebody who's a history kind of guy or anything like that, but I'm much more sociologically oriented, you know, into what's happening now today. How does the policy work? How does the money work for things? Who gets what and why? So most of my work over the last sort of 10 or 12 years has been basically about cultural policy and in relation to music, you know. In fact, I'm writing a book at the moment about So we'll have to do an interview at some stage, Peter, about Shetland.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, but so I'm really interested in the whole kind of area of rural music making, how important it is, and how we can better support it in rural areas.
Yeah,
Those are the kinds of things that I'm working on at the moment.
I think that's really important because it seemed to be at one point in time the rural music was very, very big, wasn't it? I mean, 100 years ago, so on. Everything and the pipe bands, for instance, just to use pipe bands as an instance, everybody played in your local pipe band, and every local town and big village had a pipe band, and coal mines, etc., etc., etc. And now that doesn't happen just the same at all. Everybody travels into a big city to play with a big band,
I think there's a lot of community bands there, Peter. But you're right to say that they get kind of decimated at a certain point with teenagers getting sucked up into this competitive ecosystem. But they're still there, and they need support. Actually, I think
Yeah, I think so. I think the more you could highlight it, the more and more players you would get, to be honest, coming through that system.
Exactly. The question about that, in your bio, you mentioned you play other instruments. Why the banjo?
Oh,
That's pretty cool.
I love the banjo. In fact, I made one during lockdown. You want to have a look at it?
Well,
yeah. Here's one I made earlier.
Look at that. Lockdown. All I done in lockdown was eat too much, and you've gone and made that.
But the sourdough,
it's amazing.
The banjo, It's great, I really love the banjo. I'm not going to play because I'm really quite dreadful at the banjo, but so I really like the luthier things. Are kind of interest in mine as well. Just the instrument making side of it.
Yeah.
I love
one of my friends a mile up the road here. I'm sure you know him, Simon. Is Gary Peterson. Gary stays about a mile up the road from me here.
I know of him quite well, yeah.
And Gary can handle the banjo, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah. But you also play the Irish uilleann pipes as well.
Yes, I was going to play them for you. I've got them with me tonight. So
fantastic. So how did that come about?
Well, it was. Finlay MacDonald in Glasgow. His dad, Ian, his late dad. Now he's another one that's passed away. But Ian has had Ian Finlay's dad had a long kind of interest in. He really had he has an amazing collection of pipes from all over the world. More than 60 different sets of pipes. And anyway, I kind of thought, well, I'd like to try the Irish pipes, and it was Ian that lent me a set to play. And then when I decided that I was going to try and buy a set, I couldn't afford the full set. I could only just afford the chanter at that time. And it was Ian that went out and got it, and it was this chanter that he got for me, actually. So, I really, that's like another friend in piping, essentially, who's helped me out a lot. And then I got more and more involved in that, and it was great for playing with the band and stuff at the time, so you've got the 2 octaves, you're in, you've got the concert pitch thing, it's a lot quieter, it's the better balance for acoustic playing and things with other instruments, so I got right into that. I mean, I wouldn't call myself a good uilleann piper, but, in terms of, we actually had a Chinall type thing in Glasgow recently for the Irish pipers that Jarlath Henson organised, which was great. And I couldn't believe it when we met in Otago Street. There must have been, I'd say, 40 Irish pipers there.
Wow.
So I couldn't believe it. Duncan McInnes came down from Sky. I don't know if
you seen that comment again?
What's that? All right, well, I take commission, Ali, so,
Oh dear.
But, you know, there was a whole bunch of like pipers, and I was surprised. There's a lot of Irish pipers hidden around the place in Glasgow and also in the Highlands as well. Like, you know, like
Yeah.
Duncan McKerrel. And Jarlath's been great in that sense, Charlie Henn, because he's kind of helped to coagulate things a bit, I think, and get people to kind of come out. You know, there's some really great players in Glasgow and stuff. So I meet them quite regularly. Still playing Friday nights with like some of them, like Danny, for instance, and those people. But anyway,
Yeah. Fantastic.
you want to tune in these then?
Aye, go for it.
Cool.
Aye. So I don't know exactly what I could play here, but well, let's see, I'll need to tune them up as well. Right, we're just about getting there. So I'll just play. What will I play here? I'll just play some three jigs as well. So the first one's a tune that it's called. I think it's called "The Boys of Tanda, Riggy," and it's this is a really lovely tune. I've always felt that I learnt from Robbie Hannon from Northern Ireland, who was coming over to Glasgow quite a bit back in the noughties, and is one of my all-time heroes in music of any instrument and any genre. So Robbie Hannon I really loved his playing. I still love his playing. Incredible musician. So the Boys of Tanda agree, and then I'll play a couple of other tunes. You know, so there's a sort of nameless jig there. Someone will give us the name of it. And a tune I wrote myself for somebody up your way, Peter, not quite as far north as you, but Fian MacArthur is in Orkney, who used to work for the BBC there. You know Fian, I'm sure you'll know Fian. And,
Yep, know Fian very well. Yep.
I wrote for Fian called Fian's Fiddle, and like quite a long time ago now, but it works in the Irish play.
No, it's a nice lad, Fian. Good.
Yeah. And a great fiddler as well, actually, you know, if he ever gets
Absolutely. Yeah. Fantastic. Great sound. Great sound.
Aye.
Did that take a bit that must have taken a bit of getting used to playing
Yeah.
the Irish ones, yeah.
Well, it's hard. You've got to get them strapped on, then move your fingers, and then put the play button on for somebody really good underneath the chair.
Brilliant.
Fantastic.
I don't play them enough, but there's loads of good Irish pipers, right? Out there. But I just kind of dabble in those ones,
Brilliant. Can't believe it here. We've got through an hour already, Simon. I can't believe this. This is fantastic. It's been magic having you on. Really, really great. I think we'd need to get you on another night, actually, because there's so much we can delve into. I think we've touched the tip of the iceberg here. I'm sure we could chat about an awful lot of things. Certainly when the book comes out, I think we'll get back on and have a chat about the book and everything. That'd be good.
Well, I'm doing all these interviews, Peter, with folk at the moment across the Harrington Islands, and there's some really interesting stuff coming out actually about all the different areas of Scotland and how different they are, and what sort of things actually help and what hasn't helped. So I'd be delighted, and it's been a real privilege to be invited. So thank you both for that.
Oh, magic! If you need an interview from Shetland, give me a shout. I'll try.
All right.
It might not be very sensible or make a lot of good reading, but we'll try.
Probably more likely.
Simon, thanks very much. You take care.
Cheers.
Thanks again. Thank you.
See you again.
Right. Speak away for a minute because I'm still got comments going like blazes here tonight. I just can't catch up with comments tonight. There's so many people watching tonight. It's just amazing.
That's great tonight. The let me know when you're finished.
There we go.
Finished.
I'm there.
So for those of you that are interested, that's the link to the course at Newcastle Uni that we were talking about from McKerrel. And that is Simon's website and Twitter. He is Piper_Simon on Twitter. He's very active, as is our next guest. She is also very active on Twitter. In
fact, I don't know. I don't know how she gets time to do anything, and certainly I don't know how she got time to come on with us on this show because she seems to be busy all the time.
We are privileged.
We are. Go and tell the nation who we've got on next.
We have the Gaelic singer, step dancer, and weather presenter.
I never knew about the step dancing, but hey, that would be really cool. That'd be really cool if she did a wee bit of dancing with the weather at the same time.
You can ask her. Yeah. We have Miss Joy Dunlop.
Hi, Joy.
Hello.
How are you getting on?
Good, thank you. I've loved sitting listening to you talking to Simon there. That was amazing.
We try.
We just have some fun. Yeah, it's good fun.
We do.
And it's how are you doing? Are you fine?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, just keeping busy, but you know that's the most important thing. I'm very lucky to get to do a lot of fun stuff with a lot of fun people. So
it's really great. Every time I seem to turn the telly on just now, you seem to be there. So it's just like, there's Joy again. There's Joy again. I've been saying to my children all the week, that's the woman that's coming on our show. And they'll look at me blankly as if to say,
like we don't know who she is.
I'm just like, yeah. That was like my wee girl Grace. She's 5, and I wrote a tune for her when she was born. And there's a group out in San Francisco, the San Francisco Fiddlers. I think it's Alistair Fraser that kind of tutors them. And they played the tune that I wrote for Grace in a concert in San Francisco. So I showed it to her. Somebody sent me the video. I said, the Fiddlers played your tune. It was lovely to think it and played it out there. And I played it to Grace at 5-year-old and went, listen to this. This is, and she went, Dad, will you put that off? She says, I'm trying to watch Peppa Pig or something, you know. There was something on the telly, you know, and I was like, but this is really cool. And she was like, no, just put it off.
Yeah, out of the mouth of babes.
Yeah. Tell you the honest truth. So where were you brought up, Joy? Where were you brought up then?
I'm from Connell, which is just a wee village outside of Oban.
Do you know something? There's lots of people come from Connell in that area as well, isn't there? There's
a
lot of music.
From Connell. I mean, I claim that Connell is the centre of the universe. And you can actually check into Facebook now under the centre of the universe. But it's
amazing. Well, all the shows were up that way as well, weren't they?
They're from Tannil, so they're the next village along.
Just a bit along, but that whole area though, it's got a lot of music going on.
No, I think we were really lucky and maybe didn't really appreciate it at the time, but we grew up surrounded by music and culture, and it's very much a part of life in Argyll. And it just, whether you spoke Gaelic and you didn't, or whether you were interested in traditional music or not, it was around. You know, we grew up going to dances, we grew up getting an awful lot of musical opportunities, and for a wee place, I think we were surrounded by phenomenally talented musicians, and it definitely gave a really good grounding from the music side. Even, you know, Connell's a tiny wee village, and we had a very small primary school that had two classrooms, so primary 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6, 7, with a peripatetic music teacher that went around. And I mean, we did a lot of singing in school because didn't really have any instruments. But actually, it was amazing when you look back and think the number of folk that have gone on to go and do music professionally, or even those who didn't, were just in the community, fabulous musicians that just, you know, they played at Cayley's, they played at dances, they were saying ones played in the church on the Sunday morning, you know, they did everything. And that was very normal. So, we were really lucky. Yeah,
I remember seeing that to an extent once when we were out in Fairhill. We went out to play, I think, a wee festival or a wedding or something. I can't remember what it was now. And Fairhill's tiny. I mean, there's not a big population there at all. But the musicians that were there, just like you're saying, they played at everything. They were just there. They were just there to play for a dance.
Nothing else to do. In the nicest way. You know, you don't have anywhere to go. For us, the big metropolis was Oban. And, you know, there's not exactly loads to do there either for young. So actually, you know, for us as teenagers, music gave us something to do. It gave us places to go. And even, you know, going along I went to all the accordion and fiddle club dances I love dancing and going to do that. And I think we were really, really lucky to have all these things. Looking back, it was very much a community. It felt like a community. It's small places, everybody knows each other, and you know, that's why you had the same people doing everything, because it gave you something.
I think you're lucky in a way that to have Oban as the big city. That's pretty cool. That's much nicer than it's great. You know, I love Oban.
All desperate to go. You know, we're all desperate to get to go to Glasgow for the shops and the nightlife and stuff like that. But no, we're lucky.
Shetland's got even less, I think, up here sometimes than Oban. Oban's massive compared to anything up here, so it's not bad. That's good. Anyway, listen, are we going to have a wee song here? Because I'm sure there's folks.
We are.
Desperate. What song? Song of a Helen Davy.
Let's go for the Gaelic one that we got sent. Go for it, Peter.
Right. I'm not saying it because it's.
Well, I would love to hear you pronounce the title, please.
I can't. Right, hold on. You told me to silent Fs, and the H's were what? Are they
Also silent?
They're silent as well. What's the point in having them there then?
I'll tell you what the word is.
It's right, okay. So we'll start for there. So Liskich, and Ulth.
And Ulch.
What's that last one? Oh, what? Groovy. All right, okay. Right, Joy, tell the people what this is really.
It's called Leiskich and Ulch Groovy Hash. And it's about the young man with the beautiful golden ringleted hair.
Alan Monroe's going to be killing himself laughing at me trying to speak Gaelic.
I'm loving this. I'm applauding your efforts.
Yeah, but I need to tune into Alba and the show that you work on much more.
Get watching Speak Gaelic.
You know, my late dad, he's not with us now, but he was South Lanarkshire and he was a gamekeeper. And he went to classes to learn Gaelic because, it was Runrig that drew him towards wanting to learn Gaelic. That's what happened. So it's amazing. So here we go. Right. I'm not saying it again. Yeah, very, very, very good. Lovely.
Thank you.
And Dave Cormack bet me to it with his comment there when he said as well that fantastic piano playing there too.
Yeah, no, I'm very lucky that there's four of us in the family, me and 3 boys, and that's my brother Andrew on the piano there, and he's a classical player. He's another one that's a doctorate. He's a doctorate of music, and yeah, he's an amazing. I mean, he's an amazing musician. Full stop. He can play anything, but on the piano, he is solid. He's my favourite person to perform with. Just...
My only claim to fame with Gaelic singing was when I got Fogbound in Benbecula. And it was when I was doing my UHI degree course, and got Fogbound, heading back for Shetland, and then Paul McCallum, do you know Paul at all from Benbecula? Yeah, Paul came round, and he said to me, "What are you doing this afternoon since you're Fogbound here then?" And I said, "No idea." He says, "We'll get back down to the college." He said, "Dougie Vipond is coming round on a bicycle or something, making some programme about the Western Isles or something." He says, "And we're short of numbers because of this fog for the choir, so you can just be in the choir." Now, at that point in time, I had a huge big beard because I was involved with Uphellia in Shetland that year, so I had the big Viking beard. So I said, "Well, there's only one thing, I can't sing and I can't speak Gaelic." And he says, "It won't matter." He says, "We'll put you at the back somewhere to make up the numbers. Just put your university sweatshirt on." So up I went and stood there at the back. And I actually wrote out some words and stuck them on the person in front of me's back just to try and read a wee bit of something. I think I was singing about milking a cow or something, if I remember right.
I mean, we covered all the basics in Gaelic.
Yeah. So anyway, they came and they filmed. And they done one take, and I heather them both in the background. And then they said, "No, wait a minute, we want to do another take. That one wasn't quite good." And then the producer guy says, "Focus in on that big guy there with the beard." He says, "He looks like a right chuchter." And I was like, "Oh my God." So I was standing there. So anyway, that was that. Well, yeah, about 2 weeks later, I was going across to another island in Shetland. And the ferryman taking my ticket money said to me, "Peter, my mother-in-law says she thought she saw you in a programme last night singing Gaelic or something like that." And I was like, nah.
I mean, it must have been a career high for you, let's be honest.
Oh, gee whiz. Imagine getting focused on it. So that was my Gaelic singing. That was singing about a coup. It was fine. It was good. So you grew up doing lots of singing, lots of dancing.
Yeah.
And
I just loved it. I mean, I think I sang from when I was teeny tiny, anything I could, but because my mum and dad aren't Gaelic speakers, we didn't have any Gaelic in the house, but there was a wonderful woman called Mary Pollock. She was from Islay originally. She lived in Connell, and she'd said when the mod came to Oban in 92, I think it was, she'd said if there's anybody who wants to take part in the mod, she would teach us. So we used to go down to Mrs. Pollock's house on a Monday afternoon after school, and anybody that wanted to learn, and she'd teach us all together. And I just loved it. It was a singing opportunity then that maybe you wouldn't get elsewhere. And then the Phage started up in Oban at around about the same time. So yeah, it was. I mean, I just always. I'm a very lazy instrumentalist. I'm bad on a range of instruments, but I always loved singing because you could kind of just do it. You know, you opened your mouth and it's there. And I like words and stories and that sort of thing.
You don't have to carry things about all over the place.
I'm a great roadie though, because I'm tall. I've got big arms and I'm good at carrying stuff. So,
brilliant.
I don't have any technical skills, but I will lug your instruments wherever
I shall remember that. I said to you earlier, I was supposed to be down at Celtic Connections playing last night, but it had to get cancelled because I think dancing wasn't quite on the cards kind of style thing. So
yeah, and that's something that we all miss. You know, that's the it's that kind of community side about music and performing, and like I do a lot of choral singing, and Gaelic choirs are the new cool thing. In case you didn't know, but
they seem to be, don't they? They seem to be really kicking off.
Yeah, really very. But but you do it because there's something about, singing with other people and dancing with other people and making music with other people. It's good for the soul. And I think that's what everybody really, really misses, is that just shared community, fun.
Yeah. So you were singing in Gaelic before you were speaking Gaelic, really, then?
Yeah, we used to learn phonetically, and you'd learn what the song was about, and you'd learn the way that the syllables fitted the music, and that felt very natural because we were all doing it. So it was never really an issue.
Do you think that helped? You're a fluent speaker now, aren't you?
Yeah.
So
do
you think that helped?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think that what I noticed was pronunciation, because that can be really hard for learners because there are a lot of sounds that are very different to English. They were kind of in there to a level because you'd already had to do them for singing. Yeah. And even sort of recognizing, songs are the best way to learn vocabulary because they're so rich and beautiful. And I realized, there was a lot of words that would come up and I think, I know that. And I could give you it in context because I knew it from a line from a song. So actually that sort of stuff was invaluable. And I think for a lot of people, it is through the music that they come to the language. The two, it's like a marriage made in heaven, really. So no, I definitely feel like it helped.
Maybe if I end up in a situation then stuck somewhere on the west coast of Scotland with problems milking a coo, it might all come back to me, and that's where.
Although you'd be struggling in Gaelic because the word coo means a dog.
Oh, I see. There we go.
Maybe you're milking a dog.
Well, that is
not milking a dog. No, I'm not going there. Let's forget that.
Well, we're talking about your Gaelic choirs. You have the honour of being the first Scottish Eurovision entry.
Yes.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
It is. And I have to, I cannot lie, that was probably one of the best experiences of my life because I am a huge Eurovision fan. I always have been since I was really wee. I used to make up score sheets and force my family. My mum loved Eurovision and the boys kind of watched it. Sort of sometimes, but I used to make everybody watch it and follow that. So when the opportunity came to create a choir and go represent Scotland singing Gaelic in Eurovision, it was just wonderful. I could talk for hours about how great it was and all the different things we got to do.
What were you singing? What were you singing about?
We did a new arrangement by Sheila Sinclair, who's also from Connell, great box player, pianist.
Sheila's, yeah.
Fabulous arranger, yeah. And we did a mashup. So we had Cua na Clunya, which is a pibroch about the lament for the children. And then we melded that into Vairit and Curit, a walking song about Wiley Myrit, who was off slandering the poor woman who wrote the song. And we put that together with Aluppa, Runrig's Aluppa song, just to make something new and different. And we just, we had a ball. I got to make a choir of the best people that just worked so hard and were wonderful all the way through.
And are you running a choir just now? Were you doing something for Hands Up for Trad or something?
Yeah, so we've been doing a lot of, choirs in lockdown has been a nightmare because, who knew Gaelic choirs would become the most dangerous thing in a pandemic? But it's just with the amount of, singing, like pipe bands, the same thing, anything that's going to be spelling air is going to be difficult. So we've been doing an awful lot online, and I've been working a lot with Hands Up for Trad over the pandemic. Simon and Percy they do a wonderful job, and they're really good at just letting you try a lot of different things. So we've been doing I've been doing a lot of online workshops like everybody else. Online choral stuff is tricky because you can't sing together, and anybody that's tried to sing with a delay on Zoom will know what it's like. But you can do a lot of note bashing, you can do a lot of learning with words and things, but it's more for the social side. A lot of the, particularly for the choirs, I still do a lot with choirs in Argyll, and it's quite a rural area. People are quite, they are separated geographically, quite a wide range of ages even, and that was really why we kept it going. Nobody particularly loves Zoom if you're doing a choral But it's been each other and check in and just keep doing something.
Well, a lot of my schoolwork has been teaching accordion remotely over the last 2 years, and No, it's not ideal, but it was. At least it's there.
Yeah,
at least
absolutely.
it's there, and we kept something going. That's really the thing. So
let's have another video.
Let's have another video. That sounds good to me. I bet you'll pick one that's not Gaelic this time, so you can say it. Yeah.
Let's have the Light Gatherer.
See, how do you say that, Davey? How did you say that?
The Light Gatherer. Do you want to tell us a bit about that, Joy?
Yeah, so it was a song that was written by the harpist Esther Swift using poetry written by Carol Ann Duffy. And it was for a project I did with 12th Day, the duo, a few years back. We took poems that were written by Scottish female poets in English and Scots and Gaelic, and we turned them into songs. It was really, really enjoyable. Just a project we did for us, for the pure enjoyment. We weren't having to, it wasn't a funded thing. It wasn't anything that we had to tick any boxes. We just did it because we liked working together, and the girls were really, really creative. We had so much fun as part of that project, and I thought that was a really beautiful song that Esther had written. So I try and sing it. It's not often that I do a lot of material in English, but it's one of my favorite ones because it is quite, in a lot of ways, it's a wee bit more like art song. It's not quite as traditional as a lot of the things that I do. It's a wee bit different, and I love trying different stuff and just playing around with music.
Fantastic.
Here we go. The Light Gatherer.
Small, your cupped palms each held a candle's worth under the skin, enough light to begin. And as you grew, light gathered in you, 2 clear raindrops in your eyes, warm pearls shine in the lobes of your ears. Even always the light of a smile after your tears. Your kissed feet glowed in my one hand, or I'd enter a room to see the corner you played in lit like a stage set. The crown of your bowed head spotlit. When language came, it glittered like a river, silver clever with fish. And you slept with a whole moon held in your arms for a night light, where I knelt watching. Light, 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 gather her. Light, 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 gather her. You fell from a star into my lap, soft lamp at the bedside mirrored in you. Now you shine like a snow girl, a buttercup under a chin. The wild blue yonder, you squeal out and fly in, like a jeweled cave, turquoise and diamond and gold, opening out at the end of a tunnel of years. Light, 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 gather round. Light, 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 gather round. Oh, light, 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 gather round. Light, 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 light.
That's lovely. Really
Thank
nice. Love it.
Thank you.
I really love your brother's piano playing as well. Fantastic
Yeah,
player.
no, he's such a good accompanist, Andrew, and I think it's one of these underrated skills, actually, being an accompanist. You know, you get so many phenomenal players, but then when you have to ask them to work with a song and interpret a song with the with the feelings and the emotion and not overpowering you, but to come up when you can, I always think things like that are just it's a real skill, and I've been absolutely ruined over the years because the two of us have performed together a lot, and you know, we have somebody that is really good and also somebody that you just get used to performing with. You do have that comfort, but there are a lot of great accomplishments out there though as well. But
so the mod then the mod must have been a big part in your life.
Yeah. No, I'm a mod lady. I'm a big mod geek. I love it, and always competed in the mod when I was growing up. And
you see, I love it. I absolutely love watching the mod on the television. I've always switched it on and all that, and my kids look at me as if to say, "What are you watching this type, Dad?" Because
I think it's great. It's a platform as well for anybody. You know, it doesn't matter who you are, whatever your language level is, whether you've got no Gaelic, whether you're a fluent speaker, you can go and you can take part. And particularly for somebody like me who came, you know, I didn't come from a family with Gaelic. I had no Gaelic connections. It can be quite hard sometimes to find places to perform and things to take part in. And for me, the mod was absolutely that. That was our October holidays. We went to the mod every October holiday, wherever it went, and I loved competing because it was a chance to sing and perform, and it was a chance to, you know, talk to other folk and just meet people. And even as an adult, you know, for me, winning the gold medal at the mod was one of the most, I guess, special things. It was something that I always looked at as like a possibility. It was a really big thing, and there is a really strong mod community. Folk are lovely, very supportive, and it's nice to have that. You know, I guess it's the same as, you know, whether it's a matter if you're a piper or whether it's the Boxer and Accordion Fiddle Society. You know, everybody's got their wee niche. And it's the wee, I mean, you're all a wee bit mad about what it is you do, and that is and there you have other folk that are like that, you know, the sort of over enthusiastic singers or pipers or box players, and there's something lovely.
I think the Gaelic thing's just an incredible topic though, because was it a guest we had on last week that was in Nova Scotia or somewhere that said they met someone who was terribly disappointed in them that they didn't speak Gaelic. They'd been to Celtic Connection. Celtic
Colours. That was Tony.
Celtic Colours. Was it Tony McManus? Yeah, Tony McManus when he was speaking last week. And he met this fellow at Celtic Colours, and he says, "Well, where are you from?" "Oh, Scotland," and all that. And he says the fellow was fair disappointed that Tony couldn't speak Gaelic. Tony was like, I don't speak Gaelic. And this guy was a native speaker, but he had never been to Scotland in his life, but he was out there. It was amazing.
I mean, I worked in Cape Breton for a while, at teaching Gaelic, working with Gaelic with Fage Vabu, the Mabu Fage over there, and there are still native speakers around, and it was kind of like, it was like being at home, but with a different twang. You know, they are so Gaelic, so Highland over there, even if they don't have Gaelic, and their ways and their traditions and their it's absolutely like a second home to me. But Celtic Colours is one of these festivals you're like, it's so good. It feels so Highland. It feels so community-based and just, again, it's one of these ones. And their festival club, you can go for breakfast before you go to bed. And I think that is an underrated part of a festival.
That's a good one, yes.
Oh, and you know me, I love a good breakfast. I'm always up if I'm on the early shift for weather, which I am tomorrow morning. It means that my alarm goes on. My first alarm goes off at 5 to 3 o'clock in the morning. So you have, I'm very into my breakfasts because when you've been up since the middle of the night, you get really hungry. So I'm always, I'm quite into, particularly on social media, I have good conversations with people with either about pints of tea, which I always have, or my filled rolls, or what I'm eating first thing in the morning. Because bucket of tea is going to keep you right. It's going to get
There you
you.
go, bucket of tea from Ken.
Yeah, I love my tea and I love my food.
Gee whiz, so 3 o'clock in the morning, you must hardly get any sleep at all some nights. That's
Yeah, and I think, I'm probably quite lucky in that I don't need a lot of sleep, but I mean, it does feel like the middle of the night because, like, I'm a night owl. I am not a morning person naturally, so going to sleep is an issue. You know, I have the Highlander party animal in here. I'd much rather still be up at 3 a.m. than getting up at 3 a.m.
Yeah, you've got that mod gene in you.
Absolutely.
So now we're on it. How did the presenting the weather thing come about?
Well, I mean, so I say sort of by accident. In some ways, it feels like a very odd turn of events, but sometimes a really natural one. So obviously, I'm a Gaelic speaker, and I've, over the years, done lots of different presenting work for BBC Alvapa, both radio and television. And, I've been a freelancer now for a long time, kind of juggling lots of different things, juggling them and jumping in on lots of different projects. And I've done a lot of presenting work. And I'd been approached by somebody at BBC Alvapa saying they needed somebody to be freelance, sort of stand-in for the weather. Would I be interested? And at first I was just thinking, well, I'm not a meteorologist. I've got no weather knowledge whatsoever. But actually, neither does anybody at BBC Scotland. There are no meteorologists at all. And actually, a lot of people have come in from a presenting route. And in some ways, it's the most natural thing because actually, as a singer, your job is to tell a story. It's not about, it's not about you. It's about you emoting the story, telling the story. And actually, it's exactly the same as a weather presenter.
Look at Alan Monroe. Look at that. Thanks very much. Oh,
that's it. But that is it. Literally, my story currently is talking about how windy it is in Shetland and how for everybody else it's quite mild, it's loud, and it's not so bad. But yeah, you're getting all this information and then you're telling it as a story. So although I hadn't come from that type of background, it's amazing what you can learn and it's amazing what you can pick up along the way. And I love it. It was a really interesting challenge. I definitely quite like trying new things. I'll give anything a go. And I don't really mind failing in that way either. Like if you try it and you're like, okay, that didn't work, we'll try something else, we'll play around with that. I always think it's better to give things a go. I like being busy. I like having lots of things on. So I started on the Gaelic side, actually, doing Gaelic weather presenting, and then opportunities came up again on a freelance cover basis to do both English and Gaelic, and I love them for different reasons. They have different challenges, they have different sides to the job, and it's just always another string to your bow. And actually, particularly through the last couple of years when there hasn't been any musical performances really, there's the music side of things has got so quiet. I have been so lucky to have the presenting stuff, and it makes me laugh in some ways because through the years, people kept telling me, you pick one thing, only do one thing, specifically do that. And actually now, having lots of strings to my bows has served me very, very well during lockdown. It's meant that I could teach, or I could do weather stuff, or I could do XYZ and sort of juggle to make ends meet, really. Because I was probably the same as so many freelancers. Like I sort of fell in that middle ground where I got no financial help from anybody, because I couldn't get it. So you had to hustle a wee bit. You had to make things work for you. So I feel really, really lucky that I've had these opportunities and I get to do a lot of fun stuff and deal with people. I can do stuff like this and pretend.
No, that's fantastic. See, when you were speaking earlier, you said you maybe sing us a live song.
Yeah, if you want.
And I think that would be fantastic because a lot of people love seeing the videos, but they love seeing a live song as well. And it's just really nice. And
that in some ways for me, singing unaccompanied, that kind of live, no mics, no anything, is the best way to do it. I grew up singing in village halls or in churches or in venues. So
well, the most touched I've ever been by Gaelic singing was when I was over in Benbecula and they put on a night for us in the pub, and this lady came in who was a local that sang, And that was incredible. The atmosphere, whether it was just we were in the right place, we were in the West Coast, we were in the real place where it should happen, and she was singing. It was all a lot of things coming together. But yeah, I loved hearing just the unaccompanied song. It was so meaningful somehow, even though I didn't know what she was singing about, but it was still good. So,
what would you like? Would you like slow, medium, or fast?
your choice.
Ooh.
Your choice.
I'm trying to think. I think the other videos were slow-ish, so maybe I'll do a wee bit of Push to Beal then. So.
Oh yeah, I love that. Love that.
Yeah.
As an instrumentalist, we get into that as well. That's good.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. If you're particularly, what a lot of people like about Gaelic song is the rhythm, and maybe they don't understand the words, but they get the feel. And Push to Beal, literally tunes from your mouth, music for dancing. And as a step dancer, I love it because I can't do them both anymore because I'm old and I don't have the puff, so I can't do them both. I can't do them at the same time. Please don't ask me. But I can do one at a time.
Here we go.
I'll give you some Strasbourg reels. We'll start and see what happens.
Brilliant.
Jod batok fattergas kan jod batok fira jod batok fatterga Grin famali hesich jod batok fattergas kan jod batok fira jod batok fatterga Grin famali hesich jod batok fattergas kan jod batok fira jod batok fattergas kan jod batok fira jod batok fattergas kan jod batok fira jod batok lucha khor santa fira jod batok fattergas kan jod batok fira jod batok fatterga Grin famali hesich jod batok fattergas kan jod batok fira jod batok fatterga Grin famali hesich jod batok fattergas kan jod batok fira jod batok fattergas kan jod batok fira jod batok fattergas kan jod batok fira jod batok luchach or santa fira Bjarlaming bergen chile marken heraken Bjarlaming bergen chile heraken bana Bjarlaming bergen chile marken heraken oh Bjarlaming bergen chile heraken bana Jok deine gulen tu jok deine graien tu jok deine gulen tu gebek je hot de vahe jok deine gulen tu jok deine graien tu jok deine gulen tu gebek je hot de vahe Bjarlaming bergen chile marken heraken Bjarlaming bergen chile heraken bana Bjarlaming bergen chile marken heraken oh Bjarlaming bergen chile heraken bana jok deine gulen tu jok deine graien tu jok deine gulen tu gebek je hot de vahe jok deine gulen tu jok deine graien tu jok deine gulen tu gebek je hot de vahe Nambega come gipo poti bocchina sanalte Nambega come gipo poti bocchina sanalte Nambega come gipo poti bocchina sanalte Big wonder vedina se boccani shaune Bocchinas can bocchina sanalte Bocchinas can bocchina sanalte Bocchinas can bocchina sanalte Spur big wonder vedina se boccani shaune Nambega come gipo poti bocchina sanalte Nambega come gipo poti bocchina sanalte Nambega come gipo poti bocchina sanalte Spur big wonder vedina se boccani shaune Bocchinas can bocchina sanalte Bocchinas can bocchina sanalte Bocchinas can bocchina sanalte Spur big wonder vedina se boccani shaune Galavati 70 Galavati gasavain Galavati 70 Botiku vasavain Galavati 70 Galavati gasavain Galavati 70 Botiku vasavain Botiku vasavain Botiku vasavain Botiku vasavain Galavati yaragu Botiku vasavain Galavati 70 Galavati gasavain Galavati 70 Botiku vasavain Galavati 70 Galavati gasavain Galavati 70 Botiku vasavain Botiku vasavain Botiku vasavain Botiku vasavain Galavati yaragu Botiku vasavain
Well done. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Absolutely fabulous. Great stuff.
Brilliant.
Really good.
Fabulous.
Davey looked like he had a question there. Is he frozen?
No, this time.
I
So,
thought he fro-
step dancing.
Yes.
How did you get on with that? Was that when you were in Cape Breton, was it?
Actually, before that, I had started at the Phage, and well, actually, the first time I did it was in the summer. I studied at Solmarostig, the Gaelic College in Skye, but actually before that, I had gone up to the short courses during the summer. And my brother Andrew, he was doing the piano courses with Andy Thorburn. And I was, as I said, I'm a terrible instrumentalist. And I was like, I don't really want to do any of the instrumental courses, but they had a step dancing course. And I was a dancer. I did ballet when I was younger. I was the tallest ballet dancer, I think, in the history of the world. But I had done a lot of dancing anyway, Gaelic dancing and ballet. So I'd gone up there to do a week of step dancing, and I loved it. I think as a dancer and a singer and a sort of frustrated instrumentalist, like I love playing and performing with other people. I just don't like practicing. Which is a shame, because unfortunately you have to do that to, get good. And unfortunately,
you would just have been a wonderful pupil for me. I would have loved it. Yeah, I have the practice this week.
I know. Do you know, my piano, you laugh, my piano teacher used to make me do practice diaries because I didn't practice enough. And then if I didn't, he used to throw me out. He'd chuck me out of lessons. I'd have to pen these apology letters so he'd let me back in to do them again. But I really enjoy the collaborative side. So actually, when I went up there to do step dancing, I loved it, and I could pick it up quite quickly because I did ballet and I did other things. So was through that really. I did wee bits at the Phage in Oban, and then when I went over to Cape Breton, obviously I went to all their square dances, and I just loved their dancing and the marriage between the dance and the Puir Stabíl. And what was quite interesting when I'd gone over to Cape Breton, I was based in Mabu, and phenomenal dancers, and Gaelic is so strong still there. That's where the Red Shoe Pub is, the Rankin family, Angus Mackenzie, Conyach Mackenzie, the fab players, they're all from there. But actually singing was maybe the part, also the Rankin sang, but you didn't really hear Puir Stabíl as much. So when I went over, Puir Stabíl for me was just so natural. I got to sing a lot for folk to dance to, and you really see then the marriage between the steps and the timing and the accompaniment. It is just, it's amazing. And obviously they don't have Ceilidh dancing. They have their square dances, which are, it's one dance that's particular, 3 figures normally, that's particular to the area. And they do that on repeat all night with different partners. But as part of it, the first 2 are jigs. You've got your shuffly jig steps. And then the third figure is a reel. So you see some people doing their reel steps. And then there would be the bit of the night where the lights all went on in the hall, and there'd be somebody in playing, and folk would just get up to dance. And that was my favourite bit, because you'd see these steps that were just glorious. I'd never seen it before.
It's a shame, and up here in Shetland we don't see it as much as we used to now. But they had the Shetland backstepping and all that. They done the back steps, and every area and individuals had different wee ways of doing it, this shuffle and back step thing. And it was wonderful to watch. And if you saw a Shetland reel getting done or whatever, and these dances tend to originate at one point in time, they would do them in the house. They were done
absolutely.
Done in the floorboards of the kitchen kind of style thing. And it was wonderful to see all these dances, but unfortunately it's dying out a wee bit. You don't see it just quite so much mainstream as we used to, It's just,
and to be fair, that's the same with step dancing in Scotland. It has, yes, the Phage in particular has been doing a phenomenal job trying to revive that over the years, but it was that same thing, it was people dancing, it's close to the floor, it's very, very neat, probably in a kitchen, and it's the percussive nature of your feet on the floor. And we've got a back step as well, and you see a lot of, it's very, very similar to the Irish Shalnos dancing, or the flat foot Appalachian dancing, or clogging. There are so many links in there, and it's that idea of people having indigenous culture, music, dance, language. It's all linked.
It's amazing. When you were talking there about your piano teacher, it's one of the things as an instructor I love hearing sometimes is the excuses for not playing, but really good excuses. You want really good ones, and if they come with a really good one, you can't tell them off because it's just too good.
Yeah, we're like, well done, good effort.
Yeah. Well, this wee girl came in and told me she hadn't practiced this week because she was looking after her caddy lamb and having to take it for walks. And that's like the lamb that's lost its mother.
Yeah.
And she had to take it for walks, she said. And I could just see this little girl walking along the road with this lamb on a lead, kind of style.
Yeah.
Was her name Mary?
Oh.
No, oh dear. No, it
Right,
wasn't.
I'm going to interrupt you. This is not planned, but we're going to show this video because folk are asking for it. And there's your
Well
step
done. Well done, David.
Fantastic Owen Jones on drums there.
Oh, do
Off the cuff,
you know when
yeah.
early lockdown hit and people were talking about kind of lockdown madness and hysteria? That initial part with Owen, who's also he's a weatherman as well, on the drums, where he drummed over the BBC News theme. And then in my kitchen, which is not big, I have to say, in lockdown, filming myself dancing, sort of April 2020, it must have been 21, 22, who knows what year it was now. Felt like that was insanity then. Reviving that a few months ago at Knockhill Racing Circuit for children in need to do a wee extra one. Felt like it was the icing on the cake. It was a very odd moment. Dancing around a Porsche wasn't really what I was expecting to be doing, but the wonder of the life that we're living in right now.
Exactly. It's not what you know, is it? It's who you know.
It was
Absolutely
an awful
brilliant.
lot of fun. Yeah.
Oh, there's Sandra from, I think Sandra's in Canada, but she's saying loved the dancing, but her daughter's a champion clog dancer.
Oh, okay. I mean, clogging is very similar. There's a lot of it's that kind of close to the floor, percussive type of dance. So yeah, it's
yeah. That's Kim Harris saying. I was like, Facebook has ads now.
No, just me having a jig to the BBC news tune in my kitchen. That's all.
Right. So, with the gigs coming back, you did a bit at Under Canvas up in Inverness.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got a video from there, and what did you remember what you sang on this one?
Yeah, a Vichiain I Chamish. It was funny. It was that's a traditional song.
That's a good job. I wasn't pronouncing that one. Eh?
I mean, if you want to give it a go, David, you are.
No, you're fine.
Please take it away. Which is a lovely traditional song. It's funny that Inverness performance. It was our first one that in lockdowns. A year and a half outside. It was freezing in the wind, and I was surprised actually how nervous I was. I felt really just not very far away from match fitness. The first thing you do is being filmed in front of an audience for BBC Alpha, and it was lovely to do. And they did a phenomenal job Under Canvas. Trying to put on anything at such a difficult time. Yeah. But it was lovely to get to perform and get to do something with Andrew again. But yeah, it definitely did feel a bit weird coming back and quite nerve-wracking, which I wasn't expecting at all. I thought I'd be thrilled to perform again. And I was, but it was excitement accompanied by a hefty dose of terror, which was interesting.
When we came back after the first big lockdown, the first couple of things I played at, whether it be weddings or social dances, whatever, a bit like yourself, I was a wee bit unsure. It was a funny feeling. It was this feeling you can't really explain.
It was that unsettled feeling. I didn't feel like I settled into it.
That's it. And you also felt the audience were the same.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It was almost like the audience were feeling...
Yeah, and so much of it is that conversation with the audience. And when you're not getting that, when it's quite dead...
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. it was as if they didn't know what to do either. So when it came to our side of things, playing a dance band playing for a floor that there's nobody dancing on, it's not very good. It's not.
That's
So,
hard.
but they tended to relax a bit as it got into it, but still not quite the same. But hopefully it'll all come back at some point. I hope so. I really do. So,
Exactly. So here's that promise.
Well, you weren't showing any nerves there. That looked wonderful.
Oh,
Sounded
thank
wonderful.
you.
That's
No,
great.
it was lovely to do, and as I said, the more you do, the more you get back into the swing of it,
Yeah.
and it was just, I think it was really, it reminds you of what you've missed, and that's what I think the thing is about particularly about live music is, I mean, Zoom stuff is great, online stuff is great, and then you do stuff in person, you're like, oh, this is what I want to be doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And so what plans have you for music? Have you got any coming up?
I do actually. So I mean, we're on. I guess on the choir side, we're hoping to get back in there, and the mod coming up in Perth this year. That's something nice to look forward to. But actually, I'm looking at. I've just started doing a wee bit of new music myself. So before lockdown, I mean, obviously the videos that you've seen tonight, I've been with my brother Andrew. We released an album on the Friday that Scotland went into full lockdown, which is which is probably the worst timing of anyone in the entire universe.
That right? Was that the 13th of March? Was it, or was that the 20th?
It was the 20th. 13th of March. Fun fact, is actually my birthday. It was the week after that.
The 13th of March was the day schools in Shetland shut. We shut a week earlier than everybody else. They took that decision. And that was the very first day that I played a set of tunes on the Facebook that developed into Tunes in the House, the thing that we done. So that was on your birthday then. There you go.
Yeah. And then after it, it went into lockdown. So unfortunately, Andrew and I haven't really done much in person since then. But not that I'm shelving him. We will do more things together. But actually, just before lockdown hit, I had been saying for ages I wanted to do a kind of bigger band performance. I often feel, particularly as a Gaelic singer, it's a trickier thing to transfer it onto a big stage. And I was like, do you know what? I want to explore what can be done with. So I've been working with. There's 5 of us working together on a wee project, an album project. We had our first post-COVID rehearsal last Thursday, which was lovely just to get back to totally different, very, very different feel, very different approach to anything that I've done before, which is what I love. It's probably terrible for the listeners because every single project I do is a totally different feel and sound and route it. But
I'm sure it'll be great.
We had a lot of fun, and for me, that is the most important thing with music. I do it. I sing because I love singing, and I perform with people because I love that. And there are so many phenomenally talented musicians out there that actually you can afford now to work with people also that are kind and generous and just decent folk. And I felt that after the last rehearsal, I was like, oh, do you know what? These are mind-blowingly talented musicians, and they're just so nice and so fun, and everybody performs better because you're comfy and you enjoy it. So that's exciting.
I think that's maybe even been highlighted a bit more since lockdowns and that, because all these musicians are so happy to get together and have a tune again and things. But anyway, thank you so much for coming on with us tonight. It's been brilliant.
Oh no, thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate being asked.
From now on, I'm not going to go about saying that I started Tunes in the House the day that Shetland went into lockdown. I started Tunes in the House on Joy Dunlop's birthday.
Yeah, and I feel so lucky. I'm going to be claiming that as my birthday present from now on.
That sounds an awful lot better than going into lockdown, doesn't it? I would say.
Absolutely.
That's great. But listen, thank you so much for coming on tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on. So many people watching out there, and so many folk have just really, really enjoyed it. I can see Simon. I see Simon giving us a thumbs up at the bottom as well.
Oh, he's a superstar, Simon. He does a great job.
You better let him on, Davey, for 2 minutes here.
Okay.
There he is. There's Simon still with us. That's brilliant.
Oh, he's on mute.
Oh, unmute, Simon.
There you go.
There we go. You're all right. Oh, he's still muted. Not sure why he's muted. But we can see him, and that's good. That's fine. So. Anyway, Simon, thank you. Just give us a thumbs up, and that'll do. That's fine. No, I don't know where he's gone. That's no bother. That's how it goes.
Brilliant. Joy, we're going to play out with A Fun Kiss.
Yeah,
which, of course,
which is
we've done
very
on
appropriate.
Tuesday. So, again, thank you much for joining us tonight, and good luck with the new works.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
keep in touch with us. Keep in touch with us if
Yes.
there's anything we're coming out. We'd love
I
that.
will do. Thank you so much
That
for
would be
having
so
me.
much. Thank you.
See you again.
Thanks, John. Thank you.
A fond kiss and then voice ever, a farewell, alas, forever. Deep in heart wrung tears I'll pledge thee, watering sighs and groans await thee. Who shall say that fortune grieves him while the star of hope she leaves him? Mean a cheerful twinkle lights me, dark despair around benights me. Watering sighs and groans away.
Beautiful, eh? Absolutely beautiful.
Very much so. Very much
Very
so.
nice. What wonderful guest to have on. Really, really nice.
Aye. Very good night.
And I want a jacket like a brother's got. Did you see that there?
I think you might have stole it from Simon Tumaya, to be honest with you.
I want one of them. Now, listen, that's been a brilliant night. Simon and Joy, utter huge amounts of thanks to both of them.
Yes, very much so.
Been a great, great show. Really nice. So, I think that's us tonight, folks. I do hope you've enjoyed it. It's been a pleasure presenting the show for you again. And Davey, say hello to Fiona and Amy for us, and
Will do.
keep them
Be
going.
there, Uncle Shetland.
Uncle Shetland up here, Uncle and Auntie Shetland, and the Doug.
And Doug. Next week,
We have, I forgot to look, who have we got next week?
we have the piper and whistle player all the way from Irvine in Ayrshire, Mr. Scott Garden.
Oh, yeah, excellent player. Right,
And
great.
your friend,
Karen.
Karen Stephen.
Karen Stephen. Really looking forward to Karen coming on. Karen from Wick. Fantastic fiddle player. So we're going to have a really nice mixture of stuff next week again.
Yes, yes.
So,
Scott stuff's very much a modern take on piping. It's really good stuff.
yeah.
So
So we've
look
got
forward
Scott
to that.
Garden and Karen Stephen, and I'll post that up through the week, and you'll be able to see what these people are up to. I've actually just done a track for Karen tonight. She's doing one on line, and I put some accordion on it, and it's been wheeled over to Canada, where Alistair MacDonald. Alistair was on the show once. Alistair, the accordion player.
Mm-hmm.
Alistair's mixing it all and putting it all together, and we'll get it all out. So there's
Cool.
folk all over the place on it. So we'll play that to you, I'm sure, when it comes out, actually.
I think my invite got lost in the post, to be honest with you. But
It wasn't in B flat, I don't think. It was in G. That's it. Anyway, G. You can do G. G was. Right. Anyway, folks, thank you very much for your time and listening to this tonight. Hope you enjoyed it. And we'll see you next week.
see you next week. See you, Peter.
Aikiva.
Aikiva.
Whoop.
Video.